Welcome to week 20 of Word 52, and today I want to take a passage from Joel's prophetic word in the Old Testament, and it's chapter 2 and verse 13, and here's what Joel said. He told the people, "Rend your heart and not your garments. Return to the Lord your God, for He is gracious and compassionate, slow to anger and abounding in love, and He relents from sending calamity." Reminds me of a story that Max Lucado told of one of the communist leaders who died, and they had orders to preserve his body. They pumped him so full of formaldehyde that it actually oozed from his pores. What's interesting is that they wanted to keep the memory alive, and he looked as if he were just at rest, but inside we know that he was dead, and it represented a dead system, which was a failure. When I think about that, I think about what the people did in the Old Testament. They were good on the outside, but inside their hearts had not been turned to the Lord. They would go through the motions and they would look like they were actually serving God because they would rend their garments, which was a sign of repentance. But God said through Joel, you've not really rend your heart, and therefore you've got to have a change on the inside. It's interesting that there was such a plague of locusts in that day, and because all of the agricultural life had been taken from the people, they were hungry, they were in need, and they were hurting. And so God said, it's really a call for you to change your life. And therefore, that was a call for them to rend their heart, not their garments. It's interesting that the Baoli people of West Africa have a saying, and it's this: it hurts so much, I want to quit. Have you ever been there? A situation where something seemed to be compounded and it was ruining your life or hurting a relationship? It was usually a call from the Lord to say, it's time for you to have a heart change. I'm sitting in these pews today because I know that I'm just a person in the pew just like everyone else. I have to have a relationship with God, and I have to stand before God one day, and my relationship with Him is important. And sometimes we all can go through the motions, but God is saying, today it's time for us to make sure our heart is right with God. Let's not have an external or esoteric relationship. Let's make sure our hearts are turned toward God in repentance. And then in turn, God heals and blesses. That's why Joel said in chapter 2 and verse 13, rend your heart, not your garments. Return to the Lord your God, for He's gracious and compassionate, slow to anger and abounding in love, and He relents from sending calamity. God says, let's not make the outside count. It's the inside that makes the difference. That's week 20 of Word 52, Joel chapter 2 and verse 13. We'll see you next week for Word 52.